Cyte-09, the top shotter himself. Now, the first video that I made for him was more along the lines of a concept, an idea. But this time, you're gonna get the whole package. So not only are we gonna go over the new Recon build, but we're gonna go over his new build, Blitz, which takes the Sobek build that is so popular with him and expand on it. To kick things off, Recon comes with two distinct builds. Version 1 of Recon comes with Aerodynamic, Contagium, and Modus Signal. This is to add to the sniper gameplay and to avoid chip damage. By hanging up on walls, you don't necessarily have to worry about maybe explosives or AoE that you would normally come across when you're playing on the ground. These mods allow you to not only get into position a lot faster, but allow you to stay in a certain position for a fixed amount of time. Version 2 of Recon is pretty much the same thing with a little bit of a change. It still keeps the traditional mods such as Equilibrium for energy regen, Primed Flow, Precision Intensify, Blind Rage, Prime Continuity, Narrow-Minded, and Overextended. But instead of Modus Signal and Aerodynamic, we have Worthy Camaraderie and Energy Conversion. With this combination, Grandmaster Cyte-09 can dish out millions of damage at ease, while having 50% power strength at his leisure. Because of this high duration, you will have this buff indefinitely, especially in longer missions. With Arcane Crepuscular and Molt Augmented adding a combined 90% power strength, you might as well think Overextended doesn't exist on your build. Let's talk about his sniper, the Neutralizer. For Recon, his build comes with one unique build, and 4 based off of the factions that he will face. For the first build, it comes equipped with Prime Firestorm, which turns his ice grenade into a 14-meter death sentence, while for the other builds, it replaces Primed Firestorm for their respective banes. You should only be activating this ability when invisible, and replace when Molt Augmented is fully stacked. And if you really want to take the damage even further, you can use Caustic Strike from the Uneru tree. Because unlike Blitz, Recon has no way to strip all the armor off enemies, so Uneru is your best bet to get the most out of your sniper damage. But speaking of Blitz, let's go ahead and talk about his builds now, because there's also 2. I'm just kidding, there's only one build, but believe me, this build is so strong that it's literally difficult to keep up invisibility. This is how it works. Blitz is a run-of-the-mill Pillage Subsume build. As you can see, this build comes with 278% power strength and corrosive projection. By the time Molt Augmented has reached 250 kills, you should be armor stripping any enemy that you come across. Now you're probably wondering, how does this work exactly? So, Pillage is not like most abilities, where when you cast an ability, it takes effect only in that room. Pillage works similar to an aura. It follows you. So, because it's a line of sight ability, anytime you step into the line of sight of enemies, you can strip their armor off. But the important thing here is the Sobek. Now, this Sobek is modded a little bit special. It doesn't have any traditional elemental mods on it, since Cyte-09 already takes care of that. But it does have Lingering Torment. Now, Lingering Torment increases your status duration by 90% or so. This turns the normal electricity status duration of 6 seconds into 11 seconds. This means any enemy hit by electricity and has the status effect of electricity will be a ticking time bomb waiting for your pillage to hit. So it's important to note that you cannot use spectral serration with this build. Because you can't go invisible, Neutralizer has a build just for this setup alone. So for this build, you can pretty much put anything that you want. Sharpshooter to refund some energy whenever you get a kill. You could put your Prime Bane mods. You could put Hunter's munitions. You could even put in Amalgam Serration for more base damage and sprint speed. It's all based on preference, but you cannot put Spectral Serration on this build because Blitz does not use evade. So let's talk about focus now. So for Recon, when you are doing Archimedia, you want to be using Vazarin simply because it is extremely safe to use. You don't really have to worry about anything. But say maybe you're doing survival, or you have a good squad, or you're doing disruption, you'd want to use Uneru for its caustic strike to strip enemies of their armor, or magnetic flare to strip off shields. It really does just depend on the situation that you're in. On the other hand, Blitz only uses Vazarin simply because he has no way to avoid damage outside of invincibility frames and shields. But there is a perk to being Vazarin only. Because Blitz is a super soldierish kind of build, you're using everything from your primary to your secondary to melee. You can use Void Snare to stack Crescendo and just have a melee weapon that does a crap ton of damage on command. For example, the Chlorophyll. So to go over that again, for focus, when you're using Recon or Recon version 2, if you're in Archimedia, you most likely want to use Vazarin. But if you're in a good party, or you think you're confident enough to go through missions without needing the invincibility of Vazarin, Uneru for its caustic strike and magnetic flare to strip shields and armor off of enemies. For Blitz, it's Vazarin only for its invincibility, shield regen, and Void Snare. So with focus out the way, let's talk about the rest of his kit. Cyte-09 is definitely not built for infighting, and his ice grenade doesn't really help either. To alleviate this, you really do want to be launching these grenades while wall hopping or standing pretty far away. But there is another way to alleviate this using secondary fortifier. It prevents you from taking chip damage from grenades, maybe a toxin procs from somewhere. It protects you from a lot of things, even providing Prime Sure-Footed without actually having the mod. It is essential to protecting a frame that has absolutely no damage reduction at all. And the best weapon for this is the Zilok Prime. Time and time again has the Zilok proved that it is one of the best secondaries out that not only resets your Hound's abilities, but provides excellent damage while providing you Overguard. It's one of the best secondaries you can have. But let's say you're doing Cascade or Disruption. Maybe you need bulk damage really fast. This Compressor Prime build would do that for you. 1 or 2 shots would not only increase your critical damage, but reduce armor and provide extra damage to Overguard and health. So what about melee? Now, Cyte-09 doesn't necessarily need melee, but they can be used for increased movement speed. So the best weapons to use for that is either a glaive, your favorite glaive, or the Corfell. These builds normally come equipped with Dispatch Overdrive to give you plus 60% movement speed whenever your heavy attack lands, and Melee Crescendo. So let me give you an example of how this could play into other builds. So say for example you're using Blitz, and your focus is Vazarin as it should. So at the start of the mission, you want to go ahead and start using Void Snare to trap your enemies and perform ground finishers on them to get those stacks of Crescendo. Galvanized Reflex will allow you to stack Crescendo a lot easier, but maybe when you're done, maybe you don't want to use the pistols suggested here. You could pick a pistol that you like to use with secondary outburst on. That works too. And to finish this all up, we got companions. So first up, we got the Hound. This build is pretty standard. The only real difference is anti-gravitate, which increases your jump by 40%. Combine this with motor signal, you will be hopping over buildings and latching onto walls with absolutely no issue. Like one jump, you could cover a lot of ground. And then we got Pack Leader in case if you're using a glaive or your Corfell. This will provide your pet with a little bit, more defense. I would say that Hound is a little bit more useful on Blitz than it is for Recon, simply because you are going to be casting abilities a lot more often on Blitz compared to Recon. But of course, on Recon, you will have extraordinary damage. I'm talking huge numbers. But what if status is already being covered? Maybe you have someone in your party that's already using Nourish. You could use something a little bit more modest, like an Adarza Kebab. Adarza will add plus 60% critical chance to all your weapons. And I'm not talking, oh yeah, it's a point strike buff. I'm talking if you are 0% critical chance, with Cat's Eye, you will be going up to plus 60% critical chance. Combine this with Seek, and you're turning your ally weapons into crit machines, literally. And I guess that's it for Grandmaster Cyte-09. So anything that I have missed, maybe something isn't very clear what you should be using with what, you can find it on Discord. All you need is the role, Student of the Stars, that you can get in the role selection channel. And everything is there, from what weapons you should use, from all the builds. So if you don't want to go through the video again, you can find the builds up on Discord. And if you have any direct questions or something that you want to show me or any sort of suggestions, you can find me on Discord. I'm very easy to reach. But outside of that, I think that's it for this video. But I'll catch y'all in the next video. I think it should be either Necros or Temple. I haven't really decided yet. But it won't be a voiceover, unfortunately. It'll be like the original videos. I really don't want to get caught up in editing too much, because I'm pretty far behind the other content creators right now. Very, very far behind. So I'm trying to play a little game of catch up. But that's it for now. I will be catching you guys. See you in the next video, friend.